is John May, General Manager of Petroleum Roofing, up on another customer's roof doing a free 21-point inspection. If you'd like us to take a look at your roof, give us a call today, 719-375-8773. We'd be happy to take a look and see the condition of your roof. Petroleum Roofing, we're a Diamond certified TAMCO installer, which means we can offer a industry-leading 25-year workmanship warranty to give you peace of mind in the storm. Call Petroleum Roofing, 719-375-8773. Schedule your free inspection today.
Good morning, crew. It is Monday. It is June 1st. Welcome to Meteorological Summer. I am Matt Meister. You are on Peaks to Plains Weather. This is Live Mornings with Meister. We do it every Monday through Friday morning from 6:30 until we're done. And today there is a lot to talk about. I hope you had a great weekend. We'll get some of your comments here in just a little bit. But crew, it's time to jump into what's happening out there this morning on a day that's going to be different than yesterday when we had 81 for a high in Colorado Springs, 86 in Pueblo. It was a warm weekend. It was very comfortable across southern Colorado. Wasn't as much wind around yesterday as we had on Saturday. A lot of mountain areas in the 70s, and we almost hit 90 in Lamar. This morning, it's very pleasant. We've got 50s for a lot of eastern Colorado. Eads is at 63 this morning. It's because we've got low-level moisture that's moved into the area. And in contrast, real dry air mass over the mountains. Gunnison and Alamosa flirting with freezing this morning on the big high alpine valley floors. A lot of sunshine out there. It's 50 on La Vida Pass already. That's really comfortable to start the day. It's actually warmer up on the hillside than what we have in Walsenburg, where we're sitting at 48, but you see all of the sun there as everybody drives on I-25. 55 in Penrose as we look out the window this morning, and the dew point there is 42. We get into Monument, the dew point is actually the same, and the temperature is 47. And in Colorado Springs at South Academy here, you can see that we're kind of looking off to the west of the interstate there. The temperature is 46. Dew points have come up overnight. And remember, dew point, the higher the number, the more water in the atmosphere. And 54 in Lamar is pretty good. There's a rule of thumb that if there are dew points in the mid-50s, that somebody in southern Colorado is going to get severe weather. So we are going to talk about our severe weather threat today because we do have one. It is sponsored by TAMCO Building Products. And so I'm going to jump us right into where I think we are going to have some severe storms today. This is really close to what I've shown you yesterday with my hand-drawn areas here, although I've pulled the likely area in the red a little bit farther to the west and a little bit farther to the south over the Palmer Divide. So I do have northern El Paso County included in that. I have eastern Douglas County in that as well. And there's really two areas that I am watching for today. One is going to be the Palmer Divide as an area where we see thunderstorms develop. And this is probably the strongest area of storms today in the Peaks to Plains viewing area. And then in the southeastern corner of the state, I think we're going to see another round or another area of storms develop here as we head into the afternoon. And so the dew point temperatures are going to keep coming up here with an area of low pressure developing kind of south of the Arkansas River. We'll keep dew points at or above 50 north of there, and we'll see a developing dry line to the east of that circulation. And it's the dry line that is going to be the focus of some of the thunderstorm activity across eastern Colorado. So you can see here that the dew point temps in Trinidad and eventually Springfield drop off. That's the dry line kind of pushing off to the east there. Now at the same time of day, there is a difference here in the middle part of the day in the computers about how high the dew points will be. So this one I think is probably more representative than one that has some of the dew point values a little bit higher up across the Palmer Divide. And a couple degrees will make a difference in how much energy the models see for thunderstorm development. So in this model here, where the dew points are a little bit higher, notice how we're up above 2,000, what we call its convective available potential energy. It's how much fuel the storms have to kind of grow strong. That model has more potential energy than the model that is a little bit lower on the dew points. Sounds like we're splitting hairs probably to you, but it does mean some important stuff. Overall, the biggest threat today is for some large hail across the Palmer Divide. And storm motion is going to be a key sort of indicator as we hit the afternoon of how large the hail will be. We'll come back to that, but remember that. Storm motion is important. So now I'm going to show you my severe storm area, and I'm going to show you what I call the paintballs. So I have 3 different computer models that I'm representing with different colors: pink, white, and a light blue or a cyan color. And as we head into the early afternoon, watch the 2 areas that I highlighted to you, or the areas that are closer to you. And what you're looking for is sort of on a spatial scale and on a temporal or time scale where these 3 models are in agreement. And between 2 and 3 o'clock, we're pinging the Palmer Divide, specifically across Elbert County, pretty good with those models. And then you see the same general idea in the southeastern corner. Now, in general, the storms are going to move off to the northeast. And so by the time we hit dinner, I think we're mainly done with storms across the Peaks to Plains coverage area. And then we'll watch those storms continue off to the east. So let's start talking about some specifics here. And I want to come back to that motion of storms, because there is a threat for rotating storms, specifically across the Palmer Divide. And you see how the model there is kind of moving everything off kind of to the east-northeast. I'll take it back. Watch that again. Storms that are moving to the east-northeast today, in Elbert County in particular, will have the potential to produce some hail between 1 and 1.5 inches in diameter. If we get a storm that starts to move while it's on the Palmer Divide more to the east-southeast than what you just saw in the computers there, that storm could have the potential to produce some hail maybe between 1.5 and 2 inches in diameter, and also be a storm that is a little more likely to produce a tornado as it moves from Elbert County into Lincoln County and eventually probably along or south of Interstate 70. So that's why I have northern El Paso County in my area of concern for severe weather, because if a storm is kind of riding the Elbert and El Paso County line, that'll be one of the stronger storms of the day and could have some of the larger hail, and we'll watch for potential tornadic production. So that's kind of the overview of the severe weather threat today. I am meeting with a couple of storm chasers this morning, Matt Manillo and Joseph Velasquez, and they may be out today chasing storms on the Palmer Divide, so we may have some coverage for you. So let's jump into the short-term forecast in a different sort of detail here, and I'll show you SkyCast, and we'll watch things evolve. Because what's driving our forecast for today, if you kind of checked out over the weekend with the quiet weather that we had, see the circulation up across Montana? That was the low that was over California for most of last week. That was kind of off to our west. That thing is still driving our weather. And we have a developing high over Texas. And so aloft today, we have wind out of the southwest, while at the surface, partly driven by the developing high, we've got moisture that is coming back toward the hills, and we have an upslope component. So there's some wind shear in the atmosphere today. That's partly why some of the storms we'll watch for will be rotating in our area. Now, it's going to be a warm day today. In fact, I think there's a better chance of more spots hitting 90 over the plains than what we had yesterday when we flirted with it but didn't get there. Colorado Springs, I think we're about the same as yesterday. That'll be the case up over the Palmer Divide into Denver. For our mountain communities, a little bit better chance of getting some 80s today. You see, I've got Salida at 81. I've got Alamosa at 83, where we were in the 70s yesterday. I think we'll be in the 70s across the Wet Mountain Valley here as we hit the afternoon. So not a huge temperature swing today, but some subtle differences. Okay, as we hit the afternoon, here come the storms. And I'm going to show you a couple different versions of SkyCast here. Watch those 2 areas that we talked about. Palmer Divide, southeast corner of the state. You see SkyCast picking up on storms there. Makes sense. You also see clouds developing over the mountains as we head through the afternoon. I can't rule out a couple of high-based, gusty-type storms over our mountains today, but the dew points, if you were paying attention, are in the teens and 20s during the afternoon. Those any rain falling from those things, unless it's up on the highest peaks, probably going to evaporate on the way down to the ground. So in the cities today, in Colorado Springs, except up on the north end, and in Pueblo, may end up being a pretty quiet day, even though on a larger scale, it's a pretty active day. Now let me show you a different computer model. Same kind of time frame here, maybe some clouds developing over the next couple of hours over the Palmer Divide as the low-level moisture surges in. But we hit the afternoon, watch the Palmer Divide, watch the southeastern corner. That's where these things are firing up storms. This is the model that sees more water and has a better chance of a storm kind of rolling off to the east-southeast. Again, watching the Elbert and El Paso County line for the potential for one of the stronger type storms of the day. And this model shows that. But again, the timing of everything as we head into the evening kind of gets everything out of here. Does that make sense? So hopefully all of that detail helps you understand kind of what we're watching for, some of the uncertainties that always exist, but some of the clues as we get into the afternoon of what we'll kind of be watching for and will maybe jump out at us as a storm that maybe has a little bit more in the way of strength. Into tomorrow morning, it's still kind of cool over the mountain areas. We have a still mainly dry air mass at the surface, so Gunnison and Alamosa may be a little bit warmer than today, but Gunny may still get into the 30s. And then we're staying in the 50s east of the mountains, and Tuesday's going to be a cooler day. We get a deeper push of the moisture-laden air overnight tonight with a front kind of sagging across the area and thunderstorm outflow helping to reinforce that. So no 90s in the forecast for Tuesday. Mountain areas, we don't change much. See, we're still kind of flirting on either side of 80. Colorado Springs, we're cooler. We're in the 70s. Pueblo will drop about 10 to around 80. And there's still a chance of, or the possibility of a severe storm on Tuesday. The chance is certainly less than today, and storms will maybe be on the low end of severe levels in a spot or two. But we probably wake up with some low clouds east of the mountains tomorrow with deeper low-level moisture and some clouds over the mountains as well. And we're pretty quiet through the first part of the day, which is usually the case in Colorado. Then we'll see some storms develop tomorrow as we head through the afternoon over the mountains, over the Palmer Divide, and over the plains. It's the eastern slopes eastward where we'll have potential for some decent rain tomorrow. Storms will move a little bit slower than today. The wind shear is a little bit less than today, so the likelihood of getting hail up over an inch, I think, is pretty low. If we get a cluster of storms like Skycast is showing across the Raton Mesa there, east of Trinidad, could get some wind gusts up around 60 miles per hour, and we'll keep a couple storms around as we head through the evening. So there's a better chance of storms in more areas tomorrow compared to today. Banjo's like, what, storms for 2 days in a row? Are you kidding me? And then we'll keep the redevelopment of some low clouds as we head into early Wednesday morning because we have so much water in the air. Wednesday, temperature's not too different. I think it's a little bit harder to hit 80, both over the mountain valleys and over the plains. And so stability starts to perhaps become an issue, but we'll get enough sun breaks on Wednesday that we'll see storms develop again. And Wednesday in particular, farther west over the mountains, the storms that we get will produce some rain. And they may be a little bit slow moving on Wednesday. And so some localized heavy rain potential is a little bit higher on Wednesday than what we'll see out there today when storms will be moving a little bit quicker. Or than we'll have tomorrow unless you're under a big cluster of storms. So the next couple of days are going to be pretty active around here. And so keep the Peaks to Plains weather app pretty handy. All right, let's check in with you guys. Jack checking in this morning says, thanks for the detailed, great information. You're welcome, sir. Lots of good mornings from everybody hanging out here. Suzette, Kathleen, Blue Beetle wants to know who the new weather person is. Did you see that? On my social media posts, we will announce that right here on Mornings with Meister on Wednesday morning. We do have a friend who is going to be joining Mary and I. So Peaks to Plains weather continues to grow. And we are excited about that. All right, we'll take a short break. We'll talk about the extended forecast here for the rest of the week when we come back. You're watching Peaks to Plains weather, our weather together.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
At Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years.
To say thank you to our loyal customers, it's employee pricing for all. You pay what we pay. Our way of celebrating Colorado's 150th anniversary and America's 250th birthday.
American value for American values. You pay what we pay. Right, boys?
That's right. Only at the original Phil Long Ford store.
For over 20 years, my family, like so many of you, has proudly been part of Broncos country.
Every season, we feel the energy, passion, and commitment that defines this team.
And now we are honored to be the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos.
Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Locally owned Empire Roofing and Restoration has been repairing southern Colorado for over 30 years, and it's not just roofing. We'll repair and remodel almost anything, including siding, decks, garages, and more. Call Empire Roofing and Restoration for a free estimate.
All right, June brings the start of meteorological summer, and really our pattern through the week here is pretty typical of what you would expect this time of year, with some daily afternoon, at least in a couple of different sort of windows of some thunderstorms. As the low-level moisture has surged into southern Colorado overnight, we've actually had a couple showers and thunderstorms over the east central and northeastern part of the state. But the big weather drivers is this area of low pressure up to the north, like I said, and this developing high off to the south. And so as we move through the week, we have to watch how these systems kind of play a role in what we are going to experience. And enough low-level moisture around today and tomorrow that we are having the threat for some severe weather, a little bit better today than what we'll have tomorrow, because the wind speed in the mid-levels of the atmosphere drops back a little bit. And that means storms start moving slower here as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. And so we have a higher likelihood of getting some rain. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Particularly Wednesday, we see rain chances pick up over the mountain areas. Now, not everybody is going to get a storm here the next few days, right? They're scattered. So one neighborhood may get one day, and you miss out, and then the next day you get it, and you're down the road kind of misses out. I think today may end up being a pretty quiet day across the cities with a better chance of storms as we head into tomorrow. Late part of the week, we're keeping the waves kind of up to our north. You see the kinks in the black lines there. We keep moisture around, but we start to get into some westerly flow here, and that begins to dry the low levels out a touch, and so the coverage of storms on a daily basis starts dropping a little bit here for the back part of the week. And so it makes our extended forecast look like this. For Colorado Springs, some storms in the forecast today, storms in the forecast tomorrow. And then as we head into the middle part of the week, we start to drop that chance a little bit. And temperatures warm up a touch after we drop for tomorrow and for Wednesday back into the 70s. We hit the weekend. We can't rule out the chance of a storm here. We live on the side of Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs, but the likelihood of storms is not great. It'll be best over and near the mountains as we move toward next weekend. Pueblo, better chance of storms tomorrow than we have out there today. Wednesday, we will start off with some low clouds. We may do that the next couple of days, and we'll have to see if we're a little too stable along the Arkansas River on Wednesday. We may keep storms more on the Palmer Divide, the mountains, and down across the Raton Mesa. And then we're going to dry out as well, and the temperatures end up in the 90s for a stretch here. So meteorological summer right on target. As we head into the weekend, we'll keep a chance of storms over the mountain areas, but notice as we head into next week with temps in the 70s in Woodland Park, my chances are only kind of running between 20 and 40%, which is just the typical kind of hit and miss stuff that we usually see around here. So that's kind of how the forecast is looking to me. All right, let's see. Leticia is asking a question. She says, we have a Larkspur Farmers Market Wednesday from 4 to 7. Could we get some heavy rain? Yeah, up on the Palmer Divide, you may have some storms on Wednesday, and if you get hit with one Wednesday, it will produce some moderate to heavy rain, and it may stick around for a while. So, Leticia, I'll hope that it's somewhere else in Douglas County and not in Larkspur. Richard is excited about the rain. He says, bring it on. And Julie says, good morning. It is beautiful where she is. So, hey, it's a nice start to the day. Summer mornings often are, right? Might be a little bit gray in spots the next couple of days with the low-level moisture that's fueling storms. So I'll end with telling you to keep the Peaks to Plains weather app handy, because we'll give you a digital shoulder tap if one of those strong or severe storms is coming your way, and heavy rain for the next couple of days as well. Mary is back from vacation. She is going to be on the horn here later on today. I'll be around as well. We'll, like I said, have a couple storm chasers out, so some live coverage to be expected if storms are rolling across the Palmer Divide with some large hail and out across the eastern plains. Jim says it's a great morning with P2P. Jim, it's always a great morning here at P2P Weather. Even when I'm not having a great morning, I have to remind myself that it is a great morning. Peaks to Plains weather is our weather together. My friends, have a fantastic day. Thanks for starting your day with me. I'll see you tomorrow morning or a little bit later on today with some severe weather coverage. We know you count on us, and we'll be here for you. Have a good one.
We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.